Recap in minutes. Today we will be going through an action, war, and adventure movie from 1970, called Kelly's Heroes. There will be spoilers ahead in this video, so chill out and enjoy. This classic movie begins on a stormy night in 1944 in France. Kelly, a U.S. Army private from the 35th Infantry Division, sits quietly in his Jeep, observing a soldier as he instructs and inspects his unit. His infantryman is holding Colonel Dankopf, a German intelligence officer, at gunpoint, waiting for an opportunity to escape. When the soldier notices Kelly and shouts at him to get out, Kelly accelerates the Jeep and quickly flees the scene. He navigates through various sections of the infantry, dodging mortar explosions until he reaches his squad in a barn. Inside the barn, Kelly's sergeant, Big Joe, is on the radio berating Mulligan, one of his subordinates, for mistakenly dropping bombs on their own location. He emphasizes that they are all fellow Americans and not the enemy. Big Joe then turns his attention to Kelly to know who he is. Kelly reveals that he has captured Colonel Dankopf, an officer from German intelligence. Big Joe asks if Dankopf can provide any information about the town of Nancy. When Dankopf tries to invoke the Geneva Convention, Big Joe cuts him off, insisting him to sit down and tell them about the town. He compares their interest to that of tourists seeking information about comfortable hotels in Nancy. This confuses Colonel Dankopf, who admits he has forgotten about the hotels. Dankopf attempts to stand and warn them about an impending German counterattack, but Big Joe forces him to sit back down, asserting that they are not concerned about the Germans but rather about General Patton, the British Army, and their own artillery. Before leaving, Big Joe asks Dankopf to share information about the women in Nancy. Dankopf replies that he knows the house but cannot provide directions. As they converse, a messenger arrives and informs Joe that the captain wants to see him. Kelly asks him to send the colonel back for interrogation, but he refuses and says they should keep him with them. In the next moment, Kelly interrogates the German colonel about his mission in the area. While searching Dankopf's bag, Kelly discovers some documents. The colonel explains that they are his orders and letters of transport, as they are transporting clerical files. Kelly becomes intrigued by a wrapped bar in the bag and inquires about it. Dankopf reveals that they are lead bars, intended to be dropped into the water in case of capture. However, Kelly's suspicion is aroused when he notices a scratched bar that hints at a layer of gold beneath the lead plating. Kelly takes Dankopf to a corner of the barn and offers him a cup of brandy to drink. Meanwhile, the U.S. command issues orders for Kelly's squad to hold their position. However, the radio man informs Corporal Job that they should leave the position, because it is not Mulligan dropping bombs on them, but rather the Germans bombing their barn. After some persuasion, Corporal Job agrees and they prepare to evacuate the barn. Corporal Job instructs Kelly to get ready to move out, but Kelly asks for more time with Colonel Dankopf. Once everyone has left, Kelly wakes up the colonel to extract information about the amount of gold in their convoy. In his intoxicated state, Colonel Dankopf reveals that there are 14,000 bars like the one Kelly found, and discloses the location of a cache of Nazi gold held in a bank in the German-held town of Clermont. Meanwhile, Big Joe arrives at the road where Kelly's squad is crossing a canal. He inquires about Kelly and rushes back to the barn, urging him to hurry up and leave as the Germans have reached their positions. Big Joe orders Kelly to shoot the colonel and escape, but Kelly surprises him by stating that if they kill Dankopf, they won't discover where the gold is hidden. They grab Colonel Dankopf and evacuate the barn just as it is bombed by the Germans. As their position is overrun and the Americans retreat, they slip in the rain and leave Dankopf, then a Tiger I tank kills him. After some time, they are in another area of France. Kelly seeks out Mulligan and asks him to set up a barrage at a specific crossroads. Mulligan initially refuses, stating that he cannot help without authorization. However, when Kelly offers him a bar of gold, Mulligan agrees to construct the barrage. Kelly then approaches the supply sergeant, Crap Game, and requests 15 machine guns, bazookas, 2 field radios, and 3 days' worth of ammunition. He explains his plan to rob a bank behind enemy lines and gives Crap Game a bar of gold as an advance payment. Meanwhile, a tank commander named Oddball, who is known for being somewhat eccentric, overhears their conversation while resting above them. He offers his 3 unattached M4 Sherman tanks to join their mission, suggesting that he can be their hero for the duration of the operation. Kelly asks about the whereabouts of Oddball's tanks, and he shows them parked outside. Oddball proudly showcases the modified engines of his tanks, claiming they can move faster than any other tank in the European theater. He assures him that they can get out of trouble quicker than they get into that. They get back to Crap Game, who is sitting surprised to recalculate the value of the gold. He says it is not $1.6 million, but $16 million. Now Kelly asks Oddball to move tonight, but he refuses and says they have a party tonight. When Kelly goes from there, Oddball asks Crap Game who he was. He tells him that he used to be a lieutenant until they gave him the orders to attack the wrong hill. He attacked and wiped out almost half of a company of GIs. Somebody has to get the blame and they picked him. After hearing this story, Oddball laughs, saying that he already does not like the officers. Now Big Joe reaches his squad and finds Kelly amongst his men. He warns Kelly to transfer him if he tells anything to anyone. He tells him that they already know everything about the Golden Mission. If he is going to transfer him, he would have to transfer all of them. Crap Game tries to relax him, but he yells at him, while Petticoat makes him realize that 16 million are just waiting to be picked up. Little Joe tells him that Kelly has got armor support too, with 3 Sherman tanks. When Kelly tells him that Oddball is the commander of that support, he yells at them, saying that he is a freak. Now Kelly says if he is not going to lead them, he will. Everyone looks at Big Joe to agree to lead the mission. After much argument, Kelly finally persuades cynical Master Sergeant Big Joe to go along. Leaving the post under the cover of darkness, Kelly decides to have his infantrymen and Oddball's tanks proceed separately, with the plan to meet near Claremont. Mulligan orders the mortars to fire at night, even though Kelly's team is still en route and attempting to cross enemy lines. The team curses Mulligan for his incompetence but continues to navigate the treacherous roads. They engage in a fierce firefight when they reach the German defense lines. Amidst the chaos of gunfire, shelling, and mortar explosions, they somehow manage to cross the enemy posts and find a relatively safe location by morning. Kelly and Big Joe discuss the map before entering the city. Joe informs Kelly that there is a bridge 6 miles ahead that they need to cross first. However, Joe mentions that their own Air Force destroyed all the bridges in the area a few days ago. Kelly explains that the Germans rebuild the bridges during the night, posing a challenge for their nighttime crossing. Joe suggests that Oddball and his Sherman tanks will come to their aid. While they ponder the fate of their men at the hands of the Germans, an Allied warplane suddenly appears and begins firing at them. They scramble for cover, but the plane returns and destroys their vehicles. Joe questions if they can still proceed, to which Kelly assures him they will find a way. Kelly urges Crap Game to move swiftly before any German patrols arrive, and Big Joe motivates everyone to pick up the pace, reminding them they still have 20 miles to cover. While on the other hand, Oddball and his men appear in a tunnel with his tanks. Spotting Germans working on a railroad, Oddball alerts his crew to launch an attack. They swiftly eliminate every German soldier they encounter on the tracks. Oddball organizes the tank formation and destroys enemy sheds and shelters. After laying waste to everything in their path, they continue their advance toward the bridge that leads to the city. Upon reaching a canal, Oddball spots a bridge, but before they can reach it, 2 Allied bombers swoop in and destroy it. He reaches a cafe in the German-occupied town of Measurer, and calls his friend from the bridging unit. He asks him to do a favor to him to build a 60 feet of bridge. When he says it is impossible for him to arrange 100 men, he tells him that it's about a 16 million mission, so he agrees to help him. In the next scene, Kelly's team is walking through a minefield 10 miles behind Claremont. Suddenly, one of their men steps on a mine and is killed. All the others become cautious about crossing that area. Meanwhile, they spot a German patrol company approaching them. Big Joe urgently instructs everyone to cross the road, but 2 of them are unable to navigate the minefield safely. He assures them that they will provide cover from the other side of the road, and instructs them not to move unless the Germans spot them. They take cover behind a low wall across the road. When the German soldiers approach and their commander spots them, Kelly, Joe, and their team open fire. However, the guns of the soldiers on the minefield jam, allowing the Germans to overpower them and eventually kill them. Meanwhile, Kelly and his team eliminate the Germans behind them. They mourn the loss of their fallen comrades and continue their journey towards the town. At night, Oddball, accompanied by his tanks and the bridging unit, arrives at their designated location. Excited by their arrival, Kelly's team welcomes Oddball in his column, but questions why he has a full contingent with him. Oddball humorously explains that they are the military band, but he needed the extra men to assist with building the bridge, so he arranged for them to join the mission. They all climb aboard the tanks and proceed towards Claremont. Meanwhile, Major General Colt becomes aware that someone has crossed the enemy lines. Initially skeptical, his communication officer admits to intercepting signals suggesting activity at a bridge near Claremont. Realizing the significance, as Claremont is 30 miles behind enemy lines, the general takes charge of the radio and listens in on the conversations of Kelly, Oddball, Big Joe, and the others. Oddball's team faces heavy resistance from German troops near the Claremont Bridge, resulting in the loss of 2 tanks. Kelly radios Big Joe, instructing him to lead the men on foot. Bellamy objects to the plan, takes the radio and suggests waiting 5 hours to build the bridge. However, Kelly rejects the idea and insists on moving forward. They all climb onto Oddball's tank and continue their advance. The general, listening to their conversations, becomes inspired by their determination and orders his men to prepare for the journey to Claremont. Kelly and Oddball navigate through the town and reach a crucial point. Cowboy, stationed in the bell tower of a church, provides them with valuable information about the German Tiger tanks and their unit. Kelly instructs Cowboy to ring the bell in 20 minutes, signaling them to start the attack. As the Germans start their tanks, Cowboy tries to contact Kelly, but they are already taking up positions in the town. Oddball and his team stealthily move through the streets, while Kelly and Oddball proceed with their tank. They position themselves to launch a surprise attack on the unsuspecting Germans. When Cowboy rings the bell as planned, the Americans initiate their assault, catching the Germans off guard. Oddball successfully disables a Mark 6 tank, while Kelly and Big Joe eliminate enemy responders. The others in the team also contribute to the firefight. Oddball, facing a malfunctioning tank, finds himself unable to join the others. Despite their efforts to repair the tank's engine, they decide to approach the crew of the Tiger tank and negotiate. They walk towards the tank, signaling their intent to talk. The German sergeant emerges and explains that he has been ordered to hold his position against the American army. Oddball declares that they are not part of the American army, but rather a private enterprise operating company. He reveals the presence of $16 million worth of gold in the bank, and proposes destroying the bank's door, with everyone receiving an equal share. The German sergeant is shocked by this proposition, and they proceed to blow open the bank's door. The sight of the vast amount of gold surprises them all. They quickly split and load their shares before making their escape. Shortly afterward, a soldier arrives running to inform them that the general is approaching with his army. Big Joe diverts the celebrating crowd to welcome the general, while he returns to load the remaining boxes. The movie ends with an old French civilian embracing the general in gratitude for liberating them from the Germans. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe Recap in Minutes for more videos like this, and help the channel grow.